Hey friends, welcome back to Kiki's Closet. It's me, your host.
Ben? What are you doing? Is that my shirt?
You told me I could be on your show.
Yes, as a guest.
Yeah, well, I was hoping for a bigger role, perhaps.
Oh. Would you want to be my co-host?
Yes, I would love to host.
Co-host. Co-host.
Co-hosts.
Come on and come and play in Kiki's Closet today.
Hey friends, welcome back to Kiki's Closet. I'm here with my roommate, bestie, and guest co-host, Ben Bogan, and we've got some more friends joining us. Please help me welcome
Paloma Diaria, Paula Hernandez, and Luis Herrera.
Hey everybody, thanks so much for taking time on your day off to chat with me here in Kiki's Closet celebrating Pride Month.
So, my first question for you all, my beautiful castmates, is what color is your heart?
Purple.
Yellow today.
I'd go pink.
What
Pink's
about
good.
I think blue, because I like the color blue and, yeah.
So the four of you are currently starring in ACT of Connecticut's production of Rent. Such an iconic piece of theater. Pulitzer Prize winner. We've got a movie. We've got a live TV musical. We've got a filmed final show on Broadway. Endless tours. I want to know, what was your first introduction to Rent?
So, I saw the national tour with Anthony Rapp and Adam Pascal when I was 15 years old with my dad, and I remember just being blown away and thinking it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. And then I did the show that year, and I played Steve in The Waiter, and it was kind of cool because it was before I was ever out of the closet, so to revisit it 12 years later is like kind of magical.
And as Mark this time.
And as Mark.
The first time I saw it on stage was also with my father. I was auditioning for colleges, and one of the schools we were going to was doing Rent, so we went and saw it, and I did not know Contact existed. So that was
When I was in 7th grade, my music teacher and her husband took me to go see the national tour in Milwaukee. And I was like, oh my God, this girl is mooning us on stage. Like, I was like, ah! And then Contact, I was like, oh my God, I'm with my teacher. My senior year of high school, our school was chosen by MTI to do the student edition premiere. And I got to play Tom Collins, and I got to go into a recording studio and record the whole album for MTI.
For me, I was 15. I didn't know what musical theater was. Let's start with that. I was born and raised in Puerto Rico, so like musical theater is not something that is dominant back there. I was obsessed with like just music, and then the combination of acting and putting it all together, and a teacher of mine goes, you should go and like, do some musical theater camp. And then you know how you like prepare your end of summer camp performances, and they give everybody solos. And then they gave me, literally 15, 16 years old, they give me the Seasons of Love solo. And I'm here like, Seasons of Love, what is that? What is Rent? And everybody was just like, what do you mean you don't know Rent? Like, Rent is iconic. They exposed me to the film, and that was my first exposure to the show. But I just remember, like, after watching the film, I was like, I need to show this to my mom. It's like my first exposure to like even seeing homosexuals on the screen, and like seeing people of color on the screen. And so when I told my mom, she finally had that conversation with me of like the AIDS talk, because we have two family members that passed away to AIDS. So she was able to open up and talk about like, so your uncle did not die of an asthma attack. This is what he died of. And then so 15, 16 years old makes more sense than 8, 9 years old explaining it to a kid like, your uncle has AIDS and this is how he got it. From there, like Rent just became one of my favorite shows.
We saw our industry shut down for almost 2 years. Millions of lives have been lost around the country to COVID-19. I'm wondering, after this global pandemic, like AIDS, I wonder how it shifted the way you look at theater, reapproach theater, and even reapproach Rent.
So when the pandemic happened, of course, like everyone else, I was without a job, just kind of wondering how I would cope and when I would work again. And I had manifested for myself, kind of when we first moved in together actually, that when theater started to come back that I would play a role somewhere, you know, because I've done a lot of ensemble and understudy work with Frozen and with Jersey Boys and being a swing and an assistant dance captain and all these things, which are, you know, exciting and scary and awesome. But I was starting to lose that confidence in myself that I could actually tackle a role and do it from start to finish. And so getting to approach this role now at 28 years old and having been in a relationship and now knowing people who have tested positive for HIV and just experiencing more, you know, love, loss, all those things in life, just kind of as an adult that you kind of just need to let life go on to experience. I feel like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be now, approaching this role at the exact right time that I'm supposed to.
Coming out of the pandemic, like Ben said, like there's a lot of life that was lived that like I didn't really want to go through, but we had no choice. And so I spent a great deal of the pandemic being sad and not being productive, but that's just like what it was for me. And so coming back and like doing shows, it's impossible to kind of be the same performer that you were when you left.
For me, it's just been, you know, complete gratitude and just excited to get back to being a part of, you know, a community that I've been in like my entire life, you know, just the theater in general, and just getting back to storytelling and outreach to audiences, you know, because after the pandemic that, you know, that's something that they need, you know, they need these stories that they help them fill their spirit and keeps people dreaming and aspiring for more.
For me, it was very hard to like finally start before pandemic hit, start like rising up in like audition world and, you know, these heavy like final callbacks where you're like, you're almost there, pandemic hits, and it's like they've forgotten about you. It just frustrated me as an actor, and coming back to theater was like, I finally get a chance to express, I finally get a chance to give. And then obviously because we experienced so much loss, and like I lost my grandpa because of COVID, so it's just like loss is such a heavy subject right now with the show that it's just now a natural thing to come back to.
Why do you think this show has held up so strong 25 years later?
Honestly, it's message about love and living one day at a time. You know, sometimes we're so consumed by what we will become or what we have done or regret. And this show really forces you to be present in the moment. Tomorrow isn't guaranteed.
Truly no day but today.
Someone came to see our show at ACT, and they posted the similarities between AIDS and cancer, like how it's a death sentence basically. And they just kept writing there's no future, there's no past, I live this moment as my last, there's only us, there's only this, forget regret, or life is just a miss. And I guess that's the given answer. Like, it doesn't matter who you are or what you are, how you identify as, there is a certain level of connection with the story. We dealt with COVID as well, so it's an ongoing conversation. Maureen says it in La Vivant, my revolution, justice, screaming for solutions, forcing changes, risk and danger, making noise and making pleas. And we're literally dealing with gun violence, and we're dealing with people like governing our ovaries. It's still a present subject, and this is Jonathan Larson writing it in 1994, 95, stating the same things that we're saying right now.
There are multiple storylines, and they're all kind of equally important.
Yeah.
So you're not just following this one love story. It's like truly a community show.
And because there's so many stories going on at the same time, there's plenty of stories to relate to and characters to relate to.
The thing is that there are still people all over the country who are uncomfortable by the existence of queer people, trans people, drag queens. I mean, I was just reading about today about how a GOP senator or something wants to introduce a bill to ban kids from going to drag performances. And that just made me think about how actually the first time I saw the Rent movie with my dad when I was 11, the second Angel came out in drag, I was so uncomfortable that I pretended I had to go to the bathroom. Because I had never seen that before, and my whole life was afraid of being called girly or feminine, that I was inherently, I was watching something that, like, I was so scared of. And so I just think about the fact that I saw a 10-year-old girl or so in the audience when we were doing the show the other day. And I thought, how amazing that she is seeing this, and this will, open her heart and open her mind in a way that, I think that everyone in the country should see a production of Rent. And, you never know who in the audience maybe comes in with a certain frame of mind or certain upbringing and has a change of heart by the end.
Last question in honor of Pride Month. What is your favorite part of being queer?
The people. I'll see people on the street, anywhere I go, and I see a queer person that's like living out loud and proud. They're just shining. They're just like glowing. You see the love when we are in our element and we are confident and we are flourishing and owning who we are, how bright we shine.
It's the openness to accepting everybody for who they are. You can't roll with my gang? Get out. Get out.
And that's also just like a reflection that they haven't found that, like, acceptance, love, and understanding and empathy within their own lives.
All of the sadness and the trauma and the fear that I experienced as a little boy who was pretty, feminine and, expressive, and all of those times in my life where I was afraid to be who I am have now translated not only into my art, but in the way that I give people the benefit of the doubt. I tend to try to see the good in people, and I think that I am as strong and as emotionally with it as I am because I am queer.
Thank you all so much for joining me here today. Rent is playing at ACT of Connecticut until Sunday. It's a wonderful show. I was there opening night. It was amazing. Thank you all. Happy Pride Month. Bye, everybody.
Bye.